For more on the legal questions raised by Cy Hirsch's reporting, let's turn to John Dean, White House counsel under Richard Nixon, FindLaw.com columnist and author of both Worse Than Watergate and Broken Government. John, good evening.
Good evening, Keith.
First and foremost, let's begin with the executive order that I quoted at the beginning from President Ford that banned U.S. involvement in political assassinations. If that is the case, wouldn't an executive assassination ring that reported directly to the vice president's office be on the face of it illegal, and might it also be on the face of it a war crime?
Well, clearly fighting terrorism is not dealing in tiddlywinks. We want our government to deal with the most effective tools they have, but they also have to be legal. The executive order really is nothing more than direction to the executive branch, and the president's the only one who you can even argue might have the authority to engage in assassinations. It's an unresolved question, so it's potentially a war crime, it's potentially just outright murder, and it could clearly be in violation of the Ford executive order.
Last summer, writing about the Joint Special Operations Command, Cy Hirsch described a Bush administration mindset that posited that the president could not keep covert CIA operations free of congressional interference or oversight, but he could do that with clandestine military activities. So they then claimed that everything secret was military, not CIA. Is there legal merit to that argument, and if so, what is it?
Well, it's a thin argument. It kind of reminded me, when I heard it, of Nixon's claim that when he was paying hush money, he was really funding a humanitarian defense fund for the Watergate burglars. I'm not sure it works. It's an argument. It is nothing more, Keith.
Does it explain, though? I mean, does that mindset explain the Bush administration's persistent devaluation of the CIA into not much more than a public relations firm that it would manipulate? I mean, all the intelligence was moved under the control of, if not necessarily the vice president's office. When it wasn't there, it would go to Donald Rumsfeld's office at the Pentagon. They really kind of neutered the CIA.
Well, there's no question they did that. This is a very interesting potential as further explanation as to why they might do that. We've got to remember, however, the CIA has maintained a clear covert operative entity within inside of its operations. So from the intelligence standpoint, I can understand why they wanted to neuter it. From an operational standpoint, I'm not quite sure, because a lot of the people they hire come from this special operations unit in the military. So I think that, it's an interesting argument. I'm not sure it's the full one.
The second part of the I guess it was essentially a slip by Cy Hirsch, saying that Central Intelligence had been heavily involved in domestic spying in the Bush administration. That's clearly, we've been through this before, right? That has been clearly defined as utterly illegal.
That is, by statute, that is illegal. There's no question about that. The CIA is well aware of it. Every CIA director is pinned down on that question when he goes through a confirmation proceeding. So I don't think there's any question that's illegal, and would be quite shocking if they were engaging in the sort of things that Cy suggests.
What does this suggest to you as the remedy? Are we again at that point where the minimum standard is a truth investigation, a truth committee or commission with the prospect, at least, of prosecutions, that, in other words, not handing out immunity like it was candy?
Well, I think that's this is pretty serious stuff, Keith, obviously. Yeah. And I think that Cy is a highly reliable reporter. He doesn't throw things out unless there's some basis in fact for this sort of thing. He's written around this subject. There's quite a bit actually out on the record already about Rumsfeld authorizing assassinations. So I think that this is something that the Congress probably should get into, and I'm not sure a truth commission would necessarily do it. So I suspect the intelligence committees, if they haven't already looked, will look.
Speaking of looking, nobody's come up with a roster of possible people to whom he was referring, the victims of this. Have we seen anything like that? Have you seen anything like that?
In some of Cy's writings, he said as many as 10 different countries had been targeted for special ops activities, and this could indeed run the gamut. So I don't know that we have a target, and maybe that's what is the bombshell in his book.
Well, we'll have to take a look back through about 7 years' worth of news. John Dean, author of Worse Than Watergate and Broken Government, as always, thanks so much for your perspective tonight, John.
Thank you, Keith.